welcome back to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we are talking all about summer workshops. So one of the things that I recommend at the end of every school year when you're going through your checklist of things you need to do is you need to look at training opportunities for your staff. And so a lot of times that includes like a big staff training, whether that be a boot camp on your campus or like an actual summer workshop that you go to ran by your publisher or your state organization. There's a ton of them out there. A lot of them are really, really great, and it's such a good opportunity for your staff to learn as well as bond together with like the old editor or the not old editors, but the editors who have been on staff before and the new staff members for them to get to know each other. And it really sets a good foundation for the year when you can have that time together in the summer. So one thing that I recommend doing if you're going to a workshop is you need to send some emails to your parents to prep them about what Yearbook workshop is. People are pretty familiar with things like cheer camp, band camp, football practice. Like they're really familiar with that kind of thing. But when they hear Yearbook camp, they're like, what? Yearbook camp? Or when I tell people that I'm teaching a Yearbook camp, they're like, that's a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. We love Yearbook camp. Anyways, so in this email to parents, you want to tell them what to expect so they can also tell their students what to expect. I send both these emails to parents and students. What to bring, just like you would do to any kind of like overnight thing, especially if it's overnight, but even if it's not, what they need to bring to the workshop day of. Any logistics that you need to cover, and then some encouragement. I think that the last one is actually really important because especially for a new staff member that's coming to the workshop and literally might know nobody there, it's really important that they feel like they know what's going to happen when they get there and what to expect, as well as they just understand like what the goals are and they feel encouraged to attend and know that it's going to be really fun and really helpful and really entertaining and really educational, because a lot of times these kiddos have a lot of anxiety these days, and it's just scary to go into a new environment or an unfamiliar environment with a bunch of strangers who are older than you and know more than you, and you be the little newbie that's like, what do I do? So I love to end this with some encouragement. So I have this email template and I'm going to walk through it a little bit, but basically it's like a brain dump of all the things that someone needs to know about an overnight journalism camp. You can alter this for a non-overnight one because there's not as many logistics you have to figure out, but this is kind of covers all the things that they might need. And I really like to send this big one as soon as you possibly can, as soon as you have all the info. And it's like information overload for sure. Like they're like, I can't even process this. But you know you've sent it, you know that they have it in their inbox, so there's no excuse for them to get it wrong. And then you can send reminder emails with the little nuggets. Like a reminder, we're meeting at 7:45 tomorrow, or a reminder, don't forget to bring this, along the way until summer camp, until it's time. But right now in the beginning, you want to just send them like everything. Because if you send them 10 emails in the beginning, they're going to be like, wait, what happened? Was that this change? Will they get confused? And this at least has everything all in one place, and they can refer back to it and then get reminders that are more individualized. So I would like to say, I hope you're having the best summer, or if it's before summer, like I can't wait for summer. I'm so excited for camp coming up. And I also say, like, if you're not going to camp, like disregard. I do set it to the whole contact list because I want kids who are not going to also know what we're doing and be aware that like decisions are being made, and also kind of like, here's what you're missing out on. We wish you could be there. Come next year, like you want to kind of like build that in and make it like really juicy so people want to come. And then I always give my phone number. I believe that if you are having people's kids overnight, they need to be able to contact you. So if you don't feel comfortable giving them your actual phone number, or if you're not allowed to because of your district, Google Voice is a free way to have a phone number that they can text you, call you, and access you 24/7. You can also use an app like Band or even GroupMe to have like a parent group. It's a little harder to make immediate contact if there were an emergency, but your kids probably have phones too, and so it's not necessarily the end of the world if they don't have an immediate way to get in contact with you. I'm sorry, there's a fly in my office. But I always felt like I want to have everyone's phone number and I want them to have mine. So I would make a Google Voice and I would give them that number. And then I give them all the details broken down. So here's how we're getting to camp. Here's what time we're leaving and where we're leaving from. I will leave you, and I underlined it, if you are not there on time, you're responsible for getting to camp on your own, if that's the case. And our camp was about an hour and a half away from our campus, and so parents would drive them if they missed. And I have left kids before because they weren't there on time. It's in the note, it's in the email, I sent reminders, I sent texts before I left, I called them, and they were sleeping. So you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm not gonna delay 50 other kids because your butt is asleep. And then I said, unfortunately, there are not refunds if this happens because we've already paid for you to go to camp. So if you're not there, so sorry. And then I always say that we have a pit stop. Again, it was only an hour and a half, so there really wasn't a need to have a pit stop. But if you live in Texas, you understand. If you've ever been to Texas, you understand. And if you haven't, then you need to come to Texas so you know. But we would always stop at Buc-ee's in Waller for snacks. And I make it fun. I'm like, for snackies and potty, it's about 40 minutes. Oh my gosh, did you see the fly? Woo, from the school. The total trip is about an hour and a half, blah, blah. I give them details. I want them to know, hey, we're stopping. So that way they're not asking, hey, can we stop? I need to go to the bathroom. You can wait 30 minutes. And also, hopefully they went beforehand so they don't ask that, but kids are kids. And then I say about arrival. So ours was on a college campus, and so there is quite a trek from where the buses dropped us off to our dorms. And sometimes I had kids bring like their entire life savings worth of clothing to the camp, and it was a two night camp, so I don't really understand why, but they just felt like they had to bring their entire closet, and so they weren't able to carry their own stuff, and so it was like a hilarious disaster trying to get all their stuff from where the buses dropped us off all the way to the dorms while I'm trying to check in with the other 50 kids and make sure I don't lose anyone, and they're like dropping their stuff, everything, and then their bag breaks, and it's just this like tragedy. So I always make sure you need to be able to transport all your stuff on your own. It might be a walk, you might have to walk 10 minutes, you might have to walk 15 minutes, whatever. You need to be able to carry your own stuff. So hopefully that encourages them to pack light, but also you don't have to carry their stuff for them. And then I always had a really hectic time during check-in. I always had a lot of kids, and check-ins just took a long time getting their shirts and their packets and their lanyards and their pictures and whatever. And so I told them, here's the plan. You might need to sit here and hang tight and wait a couple minutes, and then here we'll go to lunch, and then we need to be back at this time, and give them just spell it out. So you might have to wait. You're going to be fine. Otherwise, I always had complaints, and I was like, I'm trying to check you in. You need to chill. So I would just like to kind of put it out there. Again, it eases that anxiety so they know exactly what to expect. Then I put this in red and I bold it. I'm like, this is really important. You need to be on top of the schedule and be where you're supposed to be on time. If something comes up, you need to text the group me immediately. If there are a lot of you and there are only one of me and I'm depending on you to be responsible, remember the rules of traveling. We have something in our staff manual that was the rules of traveling, and so it was about professionalism and etiquette and all of that. But this is really important for summer camp because one, a lot of kids don't know each other, and so I kind of buddied them up and I want them to make sure that they know where their person is, if not with them. And then also, I can only be in one place at one time, and so I had yearbook, newspaper, photography, editors, like all in different classes, and I would pop in and check on them, make sure they're in class, and I want to be able to look at them, make sure they're in the classroom, and check it off. And if I came in that class and they weren't there, then I'm coming after them. I'm on a hunt, and I will find them, and I will drag them to that class or figure out what's going on. So I didn't always mind if they skipped class because they were late getting lunch or they were working on their theme packet or something. Like, I was pretty chill about that, but I was like, you need to let me know. I need to know where you are at all times. So I was like crazy about that. And then for our district, we had a lot of rules about meds. Like, I had to have the meds, and then I had to distribute them. And so I had to make sure that they knew that, and they had all their forms on file. And then I would link the camp program if that's digital, so that way the parents and the students are able to see that ahead of time. And then I talked about leaving camp. So leaving was always kind of tricky because it depended on whenever the buses got there and whenever the award ceremony was over. And so sometimes that was 12, sometimes it was 12:30. And I just wanted them to know, like, it could take a while. Like, it's okay. We'll be in contact for when you can pick your kids up. Like, here's our plan. But I wanted them to know that, like, it's flexible. And then also I had a couple kids leaving early. I would always have them fill out a form and make sure they had it. And, so I knew, and I had all my little ducklings in a row. And then here's where I left them a little bit of encouragement. I was like, here's what the camp is. Here's what's included. Bring some cash so you can buy some souvenirs or some meals or some snacks. But they have really great speakers, and we're going to bond together and have a lot of fun. We would always kind of add to camp as well. We would do like minute to win it games and stuff in the lobby of the dorms and make it really, really fun. Like, pack every minute of the camp with activities and fun and bonding. And even if they're not working on their theme packet, they're like bonding together. That makes it so much more relaxed when they do start working together because they already have that like vulnerable bond broken because they're not so shy and they don't want to say anything. They've already laughed last night when they were making wedding dresses out of toilet paper, you know? And then I give them a big long list of things to pack. And so for overnight stuff, they had to bring in a dorm, they had to bring bed linens and towels and clothing. Obviously, I made a big point about clothing because I know that it's Texas and it's summer and it's hot. But I was like, I don't want to see your booty in your shorts. I know that you're hot, but I was also kind of like, the classrooms and the college campuses are really cold because it's really hot outside, so you might want to not wear that. But I always, again, talked about professionalism and how you're representing our school. I don't mind shorts, but I don't want to see cheeks. And then I was like, bring snacks. I had one year where the showers were really gross. And so I went to Walmart and I bought all my kids like those dollar flip-flops. And so I just, from then on, I recommended like bring the flip-flops just in case you don't want to have to touch the shower door, the shower if it's icky to you. Like I also had some girly pops that weren't okay with, the shower being icky. So they needed flip-flops. And I was like, bring them. And then I always said, bring last year's yearbook or copies of a newspaper, bring some sort of flash drive, because sometimes the speakers will want to give you slides or whatever, and you can get them easier and faster with a flash drive. Or if you're in the photography track, obviously bring your camera, bring your charger, bring your memory cards, bring your bag, bring your strap, bring your lens. I had a kid one time not bring a lens and just the body, and I was like, what's your plan? So anyways, bring their computer with InDesign and Photoshop because that's what we used in our program. If they didn't have a laptop, they could borrow one from the school. And then I always told them that they could download a free trial because our school subscription wasn't active in the summer. And then also always tell them bring notebooks and pens. You want to take tons of notes. You want to make sure you take down all the ideas. Toiletry items, and I made it kind of funny, don't be the stinky kid. Umbrella, just in case it rains, a jacket, comfortable shoes, and a refillable water bottle because you gotta hydrate, So that is all the stuff that I would put in the email to parents. And then the other thing I would just say is make sure that you book the transportation before you leave school. Those offices are typically closed in the summer as well. There was one year where luckily it was the day before we had camp. I was laying in bed at night and I realized I didn't book the bus. The day before camp, I'm calling the bus barn, please tell me you have someone available. Luckily they did. They literally saved my life. And so just make sure that you order that before school gets out so you don't have a panic moment like me. Do as I say, not as I do. And then you want to make sure, obviously, that you send all the registration, the payment, the consent forms, everything that the camp itself needs to have. Make sure you send those in as early as possible because that's how they are going to account for you. They're going to make sure that they order your kids' shirts and they have rooms for them. You don't want to get in a situation where you didn't process the payment on time and then you get to camp and then there's nothing there for you. So just make sure really good communication with your workshop hosts as well as your rep, as well as your parents, your kids, everybody. And then lastly, as in the training section of the wrap-up task for the end of the year, I think it's also a really good time to evaluate your own skills. So look at last year's book, this past school year, and kind of think through what areas did I not do as well as I could have? What areas do I need more training in? Is it writing? Is it photography? Is it design? One of the main reasons that I created Organized Advisor is because there's so many advisors that come from either art or English and know design or writing, but not the other side at all, let alone photography. Or advisors that are math teachers and voluntold to also do yearbook, and they literally have never designed or taken a picture in their life or written anything journalistic, and they're tasked with putting together this yearbook, and it is so daunting. So the summer is a really great opportunity to get that training. Obviously, there's lots of content on organizedadvisor.com that you can absorb and soak in. There's our planner that just came out. The next year's version just came out on our website, so it's organizedadvisor.com/planner if you're interested. There's lots of resources out there, but there is just nothing like an in-person workshop, and COVID took that away from us for a couple of years, but they're back in full action. They're back, and it is so good to go and get yourself trained. So the more confident that you feel, the more confident your kids will feel, the less stressed you'll feel and less burnt out, and you'll stay in the industry, happy and not overwhelmed. So there's lots of ways to do this and get this training. There's publisher workshops. There's also workshops through your state and your like local organizations, as well as the JEA Advisor Institute is amazing. It's incredible speakers, and you hear from all kinds of backgrounds and programs and structures and publishers. You get a really well-rounded look. It's definitely information overload. You're going to walk away with like notebooks full of information, and it's honestly, I felt like when I went to my first advisor development workshop, I had a pink notebook. I remember it vividly. And I wrote in it like crazy person. I was like, oh my gosh, these are great ideas. I'm going to do all these things. And I was so overwhelmed by the end of it, but like overwhelmed with good things. I didn't even look at that notebook, and I still haven't. I still have it in my garage with all my school stuff. Like, I'm scared to open it. Like, there's so many good ideas in there that I just can't process, you know? And so you don't want to get in that kind of overwhelm. And when you get in that much information and you're like making plans for next year, just focus on one or two things to improve and change and work on and really master, and then do more the next year. Like, you cannot change the trajectory of an entire program or an entire publication in 1 year. You just can't do it. It's overwhelming, it's too much, and you're going to get burnt out doing that, and you're not going to do any of it when you're trying to do all of it. And so just focus on like 2, maybe 3, or like 1 in each category. Like 1 with writing, we're going to do captions for each photo. Then 1 with design, we're going to have a really cohesive look. And then 1 with photography, we're going to have no candid photos in the book. Wherever it is you're at, just improve on like a little tiny bit at a time. Because again, you can't do it all. So just a little bit at a time. And then, like I said, lots of online resources that you can look for. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop a comment below, or you can just email me at katie@organizedadvisor.com, or hit the contact button on our website. Go straight to my inbox. All right, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.